I'm Andrew, and here's some trivia about the 1973 series, Star Trek The Animated Series. The series takes place from 2269 to 2270, and is said to take place during the final year of the Enterprise's 5-year mission, and had it continued, the series finale would have shown the Enterprise crew finally returning home to Earth. Originally, the series was not going to include George Takei, Walter Koenig, and Nichelle Nichols due to budget considerations. However, when Leonard Nimoy learned about this, he refused to join the cast unless his friends were included. Rather than lose the most popular cast member, Filmation agreed to sign on Takei and Nichols. While Koenig could not be included because of the budget, he provided the script for the episode The Infinite Vulcan, becoming the first Star Trek actor to ever write a Star Trek story. According to Lou Scheimer, there were never any ego problems between the cast during recording sessions, although William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy had a tendency to count their character lines and complain when one of them had too many more than the other. Some episodes were based on scripts that were rejected by the live Star Trek, and others that were unused since the live show ended before they could be filmed. Many of the episodes were written by veteran writers of the original live-action Star Trek series. The first recording session for the series took place at Filmation Studios in Reseda, California, and featured the entire cast together. This was the first time the cast had reunited since the end of Star Trek, and they recorded lines for 3 episodes: Beyond the Farthest Star, Yesteryear, and More Tribbles, More Troubles. After that, the cast would record their lines separately whenever their schedules permitted. Several Star Trek guest actors reprised their characters as voice roles in the animated series. Stanley Adams as Cyrano Jones in More Tribbles, More Troubles, Roger C. Carmel as Harry Mudd in Mudd's Passion, Mark Lenard as Sarek in Yesteryear. When the series premiered on the 8th of September 1973, TV stations in Southern California ran the episode Yesteryear instead of Beyond the Farthest Star, as George Takei was running for local political office, and area stations were afraid that running an episode which Sulu appeared in would require them to give equal airtime to Takei's opponents under their fairness doctrine, then enforced by the FCC. Because of the series' low budget, James Doohan, Mr. Scott, George Takei, Mr. Sulu, Nichelle Nichols, Uhura, and Majel Barrett, Nurse Chapel, all voiced many of the extra crewmen, aliens, and guest characters that appeared on the series. The life support belts came about simply because the bulky spacesuits created for Star Trek were too complex to draw. Ironically, the belts were never adapted for the later live-action movies and television series, because making the actors glow via special effects would have cost more than making spacesuits. Although many do not consider this cartoon to be part of the official Trek continuity, the series featured episodes that were direct sequels to popular Star Trek episodes. The titular rogue from Mudd's Women and I, Mudd made his 3rd appearance in Mudd's Passion. The setting of Shore Leave was revisited in Once Upon a Planet. The Trouble with Tribbles was followed up in More Tribbles, More Troubles, which was based on a rejected script from the original series' 3rd season. The tradition of revisiting previous episodes inspired the film series to make Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan as a follow-up to Space Seed, and cameo appearances by Tribbles in numerous Trek films and television series. Another unused TOS idea, that Captain James Kirk's middle name is Tiberius, was used in the episode BAM and later confirmed in Star Trek VI The Undiscovered Country. The Enterprise included some minor and subtle differences and upgrades from the ship's live-action appearances. According to Gene Roddenberry, this was in response to viewer feedback. For instance, the animated Enterprise showed 2 turbolift doors on the bridge. Roddenberry said that he was frequently asked what would happen if the turbolift or its doors malfunctioned, but he never had a proper answer. The addition of more alien crew members, notably Arex and Mures, were also a response to viewer requests, and Roddenberry joked that he had always wanted to feature more aliens, but there were too few of them in the Screen Actors Guild. In reality, the animated format made it easier to depict more alien-looking characters. Filmation rotoscoped 3 live-action USS Enterprise shots from the original series to use as stock animation. The shots rotoscoped were the ones where the Enterprise is coming towards the camera in orbit, a shot where the camera zooms in on top of the Enterprise, and a shot of the Enterprise zooming toward the camera. According to the book Creating the Filmation Generation, Filmation was interested in producing an animated Star Trek series as early as 1969, just after the cancellation of the original series. However, the concept for the series was quite different, being aimed at a younger audience. The Enterprise crew would mentor a new training ship called the Excalibur and would train a group of teenagers. Each of the main Trek characters would have a young protege with names such as Steve, Bob, Stick, Chris, Tuntun, Stormy, and Ploof. Filmation subsequently used the rejected concept to develop the live-action children's series Space Academy. At 22 episodes, this was the shortest Star Trek television series ever made. Because the animated series was deemed to be aimed at children, many of the darker elements in the script had to be excised, to the chagrin of Gene Roddenberry and other writers. This led to the Star Trek Light accusations against this series by disappointed fans of the live Star Trek. Apart from the original series episode The Cage, the animated series episode The Slaver Weapon is the only time Captain Kirk does not appear. The new alien Starfleet officer, Lieutenant Arex, has 3 arms and 3 legs. The animators found it nearly impossible to create a convincing walk cycle, and therefore Arex is only shown seated in the bridge or standing still. Sci-fi author Peter David later integrated the characters of M'Ress and Arex into his comic book series, Star Trek New Frontier. In the episode The Infinite Vulcan, Captain Kirk finally speaks the line, "Beam us up, Scotty." Gene Roddenberry decided that this animated series was not canon because he did the series for the money, and he would not have let the writers do some of the things they did if he knew Star Trek would eventually really return. However, some of the writers of Star Trek Enterprise strongly disagreed with Roddenberry's opinion in this matter, and in a documentary they stated that they regarded this series as a legitimate continuation of the original Star Trek series, since they incorporated Trek universe details from Star Trek the Animated Series into Enterprise. We hope you've learned something. Make sure to like and subscribe for more amazing content.